Welcome, huge movie fanatic Nate, stopping on by. This time I'm coming your way to review a movie that I think, quote unquote, came out streaming, direct to video, whatever, in 2020. I'm coming your way to review the movie by the name of The Rental. So basically, I think ever since 2022, we've had Netflix, and I think that title's pretty much always been on Netflix, or it's been recently on Netflix, and I put it, months ago or whatever, I put it on my list or whatever it's called of things to watch, and I finally, now that the weather got cold and crappy and there's nothing to do, I finally actually watched it, and wow, I was really surprised. And I didn't realize this until after I kind of researched it a little after I saw it, but was this written and directed? Possibly. By Dave Franco. Is he the younger brother of, was it James Franco, the guy from the early 2000s Spider-Man movies and all the other freaking dumb comedies and this kind of stuff? Not a big fan of James Franco per se, but I guess his possibly younger brother Dave Franco directed or written and directed this, and wow, I never would have known that based on how basically good I think this movie is. But it's fair to say that, just because you're like the director of a movie, I think pretty much all the director of a movie really has to do is say action and cut, and you're the director of a movie. As Orson Welles once said, it's kind of the easiest job in the world, and it could be up to the cinematographer, the editor, all these other people that actually kind of, if the director doesn't seem to really have a vision, you can just basically parse the jobs off to the cinematographer and the editor and the guy who does the music and everyone else who makes the movie. All the director really has to do at the end of the day is say action and cut. But I don't want to take that away from Dave Franco if he's actually responsible for this, what I would regard a relatively well done and creative thriller. So this movie is just this movie basically just revolves around two couples. I think there's this one guy and girl situation who have some kind of business. I didn't really catch all the ins and outs of the business, but some kind of business, and I think they just recently got some kind of amazing deal and their business is doing well. So this guy and girl, I think it's is it a Pakistani girl? The only reason I wouldn't normally say, but it kind of course, it comes into play later on. But this guy and this girl have some newly successful business. This guy's brother is going out with this girl, which is just goofy, and this guy is dating a relatively sexy blonde with a really nice body and a pretty much nice everything face. I haven't seen the inside of her, but everything that I saw on the outside was pretty good. Was she the chick that was in Scream 4? The busybody kind of... She might have been brunette in Scream 4. That might be the same chick. I thought she was relatively sexy in that movie, but her character was annoying. But it very well might be the same chick, the blonde, in this movie. But incidentally, the actors, I think, are all relatively powerful, strong, and I was really taken early on by just all you really got to do is put the camera on a tripod and press, and roll it and don't move it. And I'm pretty much, I really, really appreciate, especially these days, movies that have a fair amount of just really, just static, completely non-moving shots, or, just have a really more of a old-fashioned, just non-Michael Bay approach to movie making. Just calm down, and the camera doesn't have to be this kinetic son of a bitch all the time. And it's obviously the further we get into the 21st century, the more rare that becomes. And when you actually see a newer movie that's got a chilled out camera that can either just calm the fuck down or just stay completely still, I really appreciate that. So thanks Dave Franco, or cameraman, or whoever the hell was responsible for the relatively kind of subdued and calm, style of this movie. I was much appreciated by me. But and incidentally, I've said before, I'm not the biggest fan of digital movie making, digital, it's digital cinema. Not that I think those words really even go together. When I hear the word cinema, I think of celluloid and black and white. Digital cinema. We'll say digital movies I'm not a huge fan of, but I have said in the past, on certain reviews of certain digitally shot movies that, you know, just because it's digitally shot doesn't mean it's necessarily just going to be crap. Like, I think this movie is a really good example of like a really good looking digitally shot movie, assuming it's, I can only assume it's digitally shot, being relatively low budget and stuff. But if it is in fact digitally shot, it's for, in my opinion, a good example of a digitally shot movie, or that a digitally shot movie can look good. So these four people, two couples go out to, they just basically rent this house on a cliff by the ocean and stuff, and just for a, I guess is it a celebratory getaway to celebrate the milestone of the business of this guy and this girl who aren't actually going out there. She's going out with his brother, and he's going out with, I don't know, blondie hot chick from possibly Scream 4 who was brunette in that movie. And it's just about, you know, I think a 90-minute movie about them going out to this rental property, and basically someone's renting out their house or however the hell it works, and just to have a stay. And what I really, you know, responded to with this movie is, you know, having grown up in the, you know, not really 70s, but having come into this world and started to grow up in the 70s and done a lot of my growing up in the 80s and stuff, and actually having seen at a very young age, you know, 2001: A Space Odyssey, and really not, even though I didn't necessarily understand it at the time, but really liking that kind of, as I already said, just very static shots and very cool and calm kind of visual storytelling. I think this movie's premise really accents either, I don't know which way you'd say it, maybe the cinematography and the style of the movie accents the story, or vice versa, or whatever, but they complement each other. The slow burn of the story and the slow burn, or whatever, the non-kinetic Michael Bay-ness of the non-Michael Bay-ness, the non-kineticness of the style of the movie really, you know, complement each other very well. And I was really also surprised about how much of a slow burn the movie is. Like, if you're expecting some kind of just amazing, you know, blow your ass away kind of movie, you're not going to find that here. But if you're looking for something that's a little more, you know, it's got some young people in it, that's relatively recent movie, that's actually made in the style of a much older movie. I mean, freaking from the 50s or 60s or something, you're going to be in for a treat, because as things unfold, you know, at a really kind of reminds you of like Rear Window, you know, just unfolding at a really nice, just slow pace. Really, I mean, I think really perfectly paced, really. And definitely not made for like an ADHD kind of individual. And the way things unfold are done really well. And obviously, I'm not going to get into spoiling this and that. You can, if you've got Netflix, you can probably see it. See this movie if you want. I'm not going to get into all the nitty and gritty, but there's some drama that ensues, you know, based on sexual tensions and this and that, and you know, basically possibly hidden cameras around the property. And what's really cool about this movie is, you know, the four individuals, the two couples, kind of assume it's, you know, well, some people aren't even in the know of what the hell's necessarily going on, but the people who are paying attention assume it's the guy who's renting it, or the owner or something, that's responsible for stuff. And I guess we'll just simply say that may or may not be the case. I probably spoiled it, but you know, I guess the kind of the twist, or the, you know, maybe the direction that this movie ends up going by the end of the movie was kind of it was nice and a little bit surprising. Like, we recently also saw the movie by the name of Dennis Quaid and the couple, you know, Dennis Quaid versus the newly married couple. What was it? The Intruder. And that movie was just, you know, just copy and paste, cookie cutter by the numbers, just nothing surprising. You know who the culprit is. It very, like, I mean, yeah. So I'm basically saying, if you've seen The Intruder with Dennis Quaid and the newly married rich couple in that movie, like this movie, in my opinion, is just world better than that. And it's just like, you know, that was kind of what you'd expect from 21st century, movie making or whatever, and this is more of like, wow, this is like I say, like someone who was more appreciative of 1950s Alfred Hitchcock movies or 1960s Roman Polanski stuff. Someone who's more appreciative or schooled in those kind of cinematic ways of doing stuff more so than like just some guy, let's get some guy to make that makes music videos to make. That's what it kind of looks like to make the Intruder or whatever. And this one is a much more, I guess, classical cinematic stylistic approach, So I guess maybe more or less that'll be my review. I kind of tend not to really worry about all the ins and outs of all the details. This is a kind of a movie where if you haven't seen it, and you want to see it, I don't want to. Most of the fun of this movie is letting it unfold and tell its own story. But I was really surprised by this movie, The Rental, and really really nice cinematography, and it's really my kind of location, really nice house on a cliff, beachfront, oceans, setting, and this and that, and it kind of takes this genre and turns it on its head a little bit, and does what, I guess, not what the viewer in my case, what I expected, and hats off to the movie for that. Very well done, and it's a very surprising movie that I can probably go as high as, I was going to go 3 stars, but let's go a whopping 3 1/4 stars out of 4 stars for The Rental. And actually, when I was halfway through it, I was like, God, I really hope this is, not just stuck in the, Netflix, streaming only arena. And turns out it is on Blu-ray, I think, courtesy of Scream Factory or Shout Factory. It'd kind of be nice to own, but I mean, at the same time, I guess you can always watch it on Netflix as long as it's on Netflix. But I don't have to buy every single movie I like. It's something I'm trying to cool the jets on. Just because I like a movie doesn't mean I have to buy the Blu-ray. It's something that, although it's like relatively what I regard as a great movie, or I'll regard it as a great movie, maybe something that I wouldn't really watch all that often at the end of the day. But very nice to see it is on Blu-ray, and a movie that, in closing, I would highly recommend. Very surprised that in this day and age, 2020 release year, this movie, that something so it reminded me of like the David Fincher, just kind of, maybe they're trying to do like a David Fincher kind of style, where it was kind of like the beginning of, I remember seeing Panic Room in the theater and loving like the opening credits, felt kind of Hitchcockian and stuff. So maybe they're trying to do a little bit of David Fincher with this movie, is possibly what they were going for. But a very kind of, really low-key, classy, stylized movie that's got a hot chick and 3 other people in it, and I guess that pretty much does it for my review. Thanks so much for watching. If you watched this whole thing, hope you guys enjoyed, and as always, we'll catch you on the next video.